Inspiration 1390 family. I'm Sonya Blakey. I prayed, like, God, how can we make Relationship Talk Thursday happen again? We've had a great run with Pastor Ford and Love McPherson, and now it's all about the Glenns, Pastor Jermone Glenn and Pastor Erica Glenn, who serve as executive pastors there at the New Life with Pastor Hannah. But they do more than that. You know, they've been married for about 20 years. They got 3 kids, and they write books.
Right.
And so we're focusing in on their latest book, which is called Power Couples. Mm-hmm. You want to say anything to the audience? Greet the audience in Jesus' name.
What up, Chicago?
Hey, Chicago.
Thank you so much, Sonya, for inviting us. We're on 1390 Chicago with Sonya.
All right.
It's amazing.
It is
good
amazing.
Times. Yeah.
So we want to talk about, because we have some great questions, and we're also going to welcome more questions throughout the show, but I want to talk about turning conflict into connection, because I've been married 30 years. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I know, right?
Goals.
And so
goals.
even in our 30 years of marriage, I mean, we've had conflict. I mean, we still do. 30 years in, I mean, it happens. Yeah. But let's talk about that. Conflict, turning conflict into connection.
I mean, the two shall become one.
Right.
That's conflict.
Okay. That's not about to happen easily.
And the two shall become one. It sounds sexy when you talk about having sex. It sounds beautiful at your wedding. But when it comes down to really two people becoming one person, there's some conflict that's going to be there. But just because there's conflict there does not mean there has to be disconnection. Conflict, we say, is an opportunity for intimacy.
Right.
It's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity in all you're getting to get an understanding, right? It's an opportunity to give, to submit to one another, to have a perspective that you didn't have. Hey, conflict is just a part of growth. It's a part of marriage.
And I think that people forget that their relationship, their marriage is a living organism.
Yeah.
That it's alive.
Yeah.
And because it's alive, there's going to be, highs and lows and ins and outs, and you kind of have to go with the flow of it versus just like, okay, we got conflict, and I'm out. But it's like if you push into that conflict, you will see your spouse in a way that you've never seen them before, because on the other side, based upon quote unquote who is the person that brought the conflict, now they're receiving grace, and now you're able to be gracious, and now you've got some depth in this now. And like I feel like with every quote unquote conflict, there's something that becomes deeper inside of your relationship, and you can almost look back in your relationship and be like, man, we got through that, and laugh on the other side that we were about to give up, and look at us now, like what we have had. What is our friend Jerry always talks about in regards to anniversary.
He say, like, if you married 30 years like you are, right, and you had 3 or 10 years even, that was rough.
Trash.
7 years, right? That was a struggle, right? He said, then you had 23 great years and 7 hard years. You were ready to give up on the 7, thinking that was it. But it was 7 difficult years, but you had 23 great years on the other side once you learned how to give and submit and learn the other side. So I think people give up too fast in conflict and don't look at it as a catalyst or an opportunity.
That's good. Real quick though, a lot of people, they question, like, how are you able to stay married that long? Like, like back in the day it was not a thing, and I can't say that people stayed together as a healthy couple, because back in the day it's still 50 years, my parents 50 plus years. What do you think it is different between that generation and today's?
People give themselves an out, and we always say it's such a horrible situation, because the work that you have to do to get out of a relationship, heal yourself in the middle time, then go find somebody else and then build it back up, all that work is still work. You could have put all that work, all that effort into what you already had. But they say, you're looking at the grass being greener on the other side, and all you had to do was water your own grass, right? It's the same effort, the same work. Relationships are work. So just quit giving yourself an out, quit giving yourself an escape. Take that D word out of your house, out of your mouth. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. Watch what you say, and figure out a way to grow together. Pick good. Pick a person. Make a good pick, right? Make a good decision. I made a lot of mistakes, but I made a good pick. You understand? Make a great pick, make a great decision, and then work within the context of your own decision. Stick with it. The people give themselves an out, and then they realize when they get out that they could have just stayed in. Because then when they went to go look, I would not want to be single in these. I got prayers, much respect for all my single people out there in these single streets. it's a lot happening out here in these single streets. I'm so glad I'm safe.
Yeah, but there's we're gonna come back with the Glens. Pastor Jermone, Pastor Erica, we're talking about turning conflict into connection. And we got to talk about the other C word. Yeah. Communication.
Communication. That's how you do it.
We're going to open up the phone lines too. Yeah. It is Relationship Talk Thursday on Inspiration 1390. Come on in the room. This is some good conversation. Whether you're dating, whether you're married, whether you're single, want to get married, all of it applies today. Here with Pastor Jermone Glenn and Pastor Erica Glenn, who serve faithfully. They're at New Life Executive Pastors. They have their own marriage ministry. They write books. And today we're talking about turning conflict into connection and communication, right? We got to talk about the communication, because I hear that communication is really what can bring or tear apart marriages. So,
money, sex, communication. Them the big three that people always have in conflict. Money, sex, communication. How we manage money, how much sex we having or not having, and how we communicate. But that's how you turn conflict into connection. Early on, my wife and I, she says I'm the more person.
You communicate more. That's what you do with your life.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. And in that communication, I would think that I am being clear because I do know how to communicate. But my wife learned in this school that they take all the ladies to, called Girls School. Okay. It is a school. It is this proverbial school called Girls School where they teach women that men don't know how to communicate, and you got to read between the lines, and you got to figure out what they're trying to say, and what they're saying is not really what they're saying. They're really saying something else. And I would have to remind my wife that I am saying what I'm saying. You don't have to interpret for me. You don't have to translate for me. And I learned very early on that she was hearing through the lenses of finishing my sentences instead of lenses of what I actually was saying. And so as a principal in human development, one of the things that I learned that was very important for us is that when I would make a statement, I would ask my wife, what did you hear me say?
That's great.
Not what I said. What did you hear me say? And man, when she repeated it back, it was not what I said. I said, where did
you're supposed to be this great communicator,
I said, I could get up and preach and people get saved. I could say what I said. I got a degree in communication and marketing, and you mean to tell me in my own house I could say what I said and you didn't hear what I said because you were too busy listening to respond instead of listening to hear what I was saying. Okay. And you was finishing my sentences and filling in the blanks. And my wife would be like, well, what did you say then? And I'll say it again. Till finally we learned the art of say back what you heard me say. So I would say, what would you hear me say? Because she was a principal at that time.
That's what I said to my kindergarten.
Yeah, I'm not no kid. Don't be telling me. I said, babe, I'm not trying to treat you like a child, but you honestly just repeated back to me what I didn't say. Because you were hearing through your feelings, your emotions, your understanding, your expectation. Say back what you heard me say. And she would say it back, I would say it back, and our communication took over. So
Pastor Eric, I want you to chime in on that.
Yeah, you know the whole city listening right now.
Yeah, we all listening. Come with that.
I mean, so it was, because I was an independent, quote unquote, woman, I think that I was just trying to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the less words he had to say and the more I could get it in my head, the easier it would be. But in that, realizing that I was getting the message wrong, I had to ask myself, where was I filling in the blanks? And where did I get the answers from? And it was from my mother or from my grandmother. This is how a man acts and this is what a man does. And I think it was my grandfather when he got up to preach one time and he was talking about, because they had a marriage ministry too. And he said, if a man says, I want dinner and I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, why are you making him steak? Because you feel like he should have steak versus a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And you want to be a great wife. And how dare I give you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And the man was like, but I asked you for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I think for women, we are always trying to do what is best in our eyes versus just giving exactly what a man is telling you. And when I looked over my life, especially as a single woman, I realized when somebody tells you something, oh boy, he means what he's saying. If he says, I really don't want to be married, you shouldn't just keep on staying there because you believe I'm going to change his mind. No, he said what he said.
And even when he says nothing.
And and even when he says nothing, he's saying a lot, because when he says nothing, it's because he doesn't trust that you're going to understand what he says.
Wow,
or you're going to take it and manipulate it. So he like, how about I say nothing? Right. So it's like when we hear people,
don't talk.
He don't talk. And it's like, he talking.
He's saying a lot.
He's talking to somebody. He's just not talking to you.
And even when he's silent, he's saying a lot. You're just not listening, because you're such in the art of giving him what you want him to have instead of giving him what he wants. And that's what we discovered. Because my wife is an avid reader also, and she will be reading these multiple books at all these times, telling her how to be a good wife, and telling her what the expectations are, and managing all these things. And she's trying to live up to all these ideals she interpreted, and finding herself frustrated in her situation. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm not asking for all that stuff. Well, the books say I should do this, and this. I'm like, whoa. The book is ruining our marriage, because the book is giving you too many ideas to process at the wrong time. How about you just listen to what I'm asking for and what you're asking for, and then go read one book about that. Go read Power Couples about that. Go read Love, right? Go read the one book instead of 5 books that are telling you you're not doing a good job. And I actually think you're doing a great job, and I'm really not asking for a lot. I just want most men just want a few simple things. Just a few. Give me something to eat, give me some sex, let me watch the game. Let me have a little space. Not complicated. All right. And sometimes people just don't listen.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more. That was good. A good, healthy segment on communication. we got a question coming in about disagreements from spiraling from. You don't want those disagreements to turn into resentment. That's the question that's coming through right here. Relationship Talk Thursday. Relationship Talk Thursday. It's Sonya here on Inspiration 1390 with Pastor Jermone and Pastor Erica Glenn of New Life. And we're talking about turning conflict into connection. All of this can be found in their new book, Power Couples. I want to talk about the rules of engagement for love and respect during disagreements, because I know a lot of disagreements can turn into fights, and they can turn into the cussing, and folks just don't like each other no more. But there's a way out of this, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Is there a way out of this? Tell us, Pastor.
What did we learn, babe?
So women want love.
And men want respect.
Yeah, women want love. I want to know that you love me, and I want to know that whatever I communicate with you will not cause you to not love me. And when I feel or when I believe that I can say what I need to say, even if whether it's right or wrong, that I'm still going to be loved at the end of it, then I can communicate my honest space and be transparent in that and vulnerable in that.
And men want respect, right? We translate love as respect. We learned this in the book, Love and Respect. The Bible doesn't really tell a woman to love her husband. It tells a man to love his wife. But it doesn't tell a woman to love her husband. It doesn't mean that she should not love him. It means that he translates love as respect. How do you speak to him? How do you speak about him? How do you speak in his presence, out of his presence? How do you translate his ideas? How do you follow through with his words? So men interpret love as respect. Don't emasculate. He's not your child. My wife is a retired principal. We had to build in our marriage some drive time, some decompression time. She worked in an urban area as a principal, dealing with all the little kids and all the parents and frustration. And
you didn't want to be talked to.
That's
like
right.
that.
She in her principal tone all day, and then she come home. Mom, I'm like, whoa. I'm not your kids. I'm not none of your students. I'm not them parents. You need to decompress. Stay at your office 10 more minutes. Ride around for a second. Turn some music on so you can go to work. If you got to go to work and be all that, do that. But come home as my wife. Come home and call my name in a way that wants me to come to you, not run from you. And so there has to be a safe understanding of that decompression time, because respect is how I'm translating love. And then I never want to say anything to my wife to make her feel like I don't love her. Never want to say anything to her that I wouldn't say to myself. Husband, love your wives as Christ. So she is me. So therefore, anything God wouldn't say to her, I shouldn't say to her. Any way that God shouldn't say it to her, I shouldn't say it to her. So we need to learn in rules of engagement how to talk to one another. The Bible says speak the truth in love. You don't have to lie. You can say anything you want to say. It's just how you say it. Watch your tone. Watch your tone. Watch how you raise your voice. We don't argue, but we got into a passionate conversation.
Okay.
And voices got raised in the house. Our children were listening. And I realized that I was passionate. They was, because they never hear us. And I had to pause in a moment in front of my children and apologize to my wife in front of my children for how they heard me talk to their mother, because I didn't want that to become their normal and them think that's what it was. So we learned how to, we say fight fair, right? Be vulnerable.
Fight fair.
Be vulnerable, and don't use it against them in a moment of, don't use what somebody gave you in a moment of weakness, in a time of strength, right? Watch your tone, say what you want to say, speak the truth in love, but be respectful, be loving.
And then also make sure that, you know the temperament of your partner.
Right.
And sometimes because you want to get it off of your chest, it might be a good time for you,
good,
but it's
right.
not a good time for us.
That's right.
And you need to be you need to be conscious of that. And then you also need to make sure that, like my husband said, that you speak the truth in love. You can speak the truth because you don't want to walk away from a heated or where there could possibly be conflict without feeling that you've been heard.
That's right.
And so you need to make sure that, I tell, especially for women or whoever, everybody has a role in the relationship in a sense.
Right.
And whoever is the person who doesn't communicate that well, or it takes them a minute to process, make sure that you show up to the conversation with the things that you are desiring, and not allowing the person who can speak 100 words a minute take over the conversation, but it's like, it takes me a minute, I gotta process, and let your partner know that, so that they respect that. And then also, whoever calls the meeting, that's their meeting. They lead the meeting. So you can't jump in the chair and be like, I can't call the meeting and
you take over my meeting.
And I need to say this since you say that.
What you call it?
This ain't your meeting.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
It's not your meeting.
You didn't say I need to talk to you, and then I sit down and say I need to talk to you, and then you doing all the talking. Right. This ain't your meeting. This is my meeting. You got to listen and respond.
Exactly. You got to respond. Even if you got a time period on responding, you got to respond.
And because I'm the quicker communicator, my wife would always say, if you know you're brewing something in your head, give me a heads up. Tell me you need to talk to me about something later or at a certain time, so that I'm prepared for it. Because you've been processing in your head. You'll come in and unloading it. That's what she means when she say it might be a good time for you. But is it a good time for us?
That's good.
Right?
All right, this is great conversation. Man, this is incredible. You all are anointed for this, right? Anointed. Breakthroughs are happening as people are listening on this Relationship Talk Thursday. How can folks find you, follow you, get the book?
All things are connected to Jermone, JERMONE, GLENN, JermoneGlenn.com. If you Google Power Couples, it'll come up. Love, 30-day love challenge. We push couples to do that. It's practicing love on each other for 30 days straight. Kingdom relationships. We have all type of books. We do seminars. We do retreats. We do training. We do marriage counseling in the month of March. We do we don't do counseling because we believe that you're just missing some tools. So we do marriage enrichment, give you the tools to be able to move through this. So we serve in this capacity because we want you to win.
Yeah.
Healthy families.
All right.
Yeah, we want you to win. So,
excellent.
Google us, look us up.
Okay. Pastor Erica, final thoughts?
So turning conflict into connection, I would definitely, just encourage you, if you are in that in-between space and you're trying to make a decision. I'm grateful that you tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. But just know that this is not a mistake. Give your marriage another try. You may not have had all the tools that you need to be successful. And once you admit, I don't know what I'm doing, I believe you'll get all the tools that you need to make your marriage the marriage that you want it to be.
Hey, tell Chicago the one thing that you do to me when we having a conflict
conversation.
So
when we're having
what is this thing?
So when we have a heated conversation, I always grab him. I touch him. Because my touch is going to de-escalate him, because it's a point of connection, and it is to remind his brain that we are together and we are in love. Even though you may not like me right now, we are still in love and we are still in a marriage, and it causes him to de-escalate and to come down.
All right,
I used to not like it. I'd be like, why are you touching me?
All right, ladies, start doing some touching, all right?
Touch.
And call us back with a testimony.
Touch us now.
Relationship Talk Thursday. Hi, thanks for calling Inspiration 1390. It's Relationship Talk Thursday. It's Sonya here with Pastor Jermone and Pastor Erica Glenn. We're talking about turning conflict into connection. Do you have a question for our team?
How do you keep discipline from spiraling into resentment?
You said, how do you stop disagreements from spiraling into resentment? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
That's a phenomenal question. I think the best way to do that is to deal with it, right? It's difficult sometimes to deal with it, especially if you're having a great season, but you got something going on. But the longer that you keep it quiet, the more it turns into something greater, right? It doesn't start off at resentment. It just probably started off as a disagreement that then turned into disappointment, that then turns into resentment. So don't let it fester, right? Create a conversation, set some parameters, have some boundaries, and say, hey, I really need to talk to you about something that we had a disagreement with, so we can find peace as fast as possible, because we don't want the disagreement to turn into resentment. What you think, man?
The other thing that I would say is to know that if you're having disagreements, it's not just one, but it's something that's continually to happen, is that you have to make sure that your heart posture stays in a place of forgiveness. Like I tell people, this is not your boyfriend, this is not your girlfriend, this is your husband, this is your wife, this is a covenant. This is something that is a little bit stronger, well, greatly stronger than the relationship that you had previously in your relationship. And so you got to make sure that your heart posture is in a place knowing that your spouse is human. They're gonna make mistakes. They're going to do things that you're not gonna like. And I remember I would tell my husband, we would have a disagreement, or he would have an expectation, and I just would look at him and I'd be like, dude, listen, it took me a long time to be this way, okay? And this is not gonna happen in the next 2 years or even in the next year. I need you to wake up every single morning believing that this could be the day that I am going to do what you need me to do. But I need your heart to be in a place to be able to receive it. And with your spouse, and I also let him know, I didn't wake up this morning to try to figure out how I'm going to screw your day up. I didn't do that. I did not wake up with that on my agenda. I am being human. I am having a human experience, and I am not perfect. And I need you to embrace that I'm not perfect. And I ask you to forgive me for something that you felt like I needed to do, and you have a disagreement with that, or you feel a certain kind of way about that.
All right. Does that answer your question?
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, I like that answer.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling.